on 2DU Breakfast yesterday, the Rotary Club of Dubbo South had a very, very special unveiling connected to the Toyota Tour de Oroc 2022 ride. To find out more, I have the former chairperson of the Toyota Tour de Oroc committee, Matthew Dickerson, on the line. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning, Ian. Thanks for chatting to me today.
Absolute pleasure, Matthew. There was a very, very special unveiling yesterday. Can you tell us more?
I can tell you more. One of the things that's always interesting when you organise an event is there's lots of work that goes into the event beforehand, obviously organising it. And with Tour de Oroc in 2022, we had a great committee. They got together. We all met regularly. It was fortnightly, then weekly meetings, and we were doing lots of things to organise it. We ran the event. It all ran well. There was an accident. A couple of people got injured, but nothing too bad. And then, of course, you want to put it all together and hand a check over. So we did all that. But one of the things I think that is interesting with the Toyota Tour de Oroc event is that all the fundraising goes towards Macquarie Homestay. Now, people from the entire region come to Dubbo for various health reasons, and if they stay there at Macquarie Homestay, they may not be familiar with the background of the facility and how the community's really gotten behind that facility and raised money for it. So we like to have a framed jersey that we donate to Macquarie Homestay, and that'll have the jersey. It has a bit of the history of that particular year's event, the people that were involved, how it unfolded. And the other part, and which is always the exciting part, is that we try and go for a Guinness World Record when we run the event each time. And so as part of the unveiling, we actually unveil it, and if we've been able to achieve a Guinness World Record, we do put a certificate in there to show that Guinness World Record. If we don't, then we just don't mention it and hope no one notices the difference there. But it's one of the extra challenges that we put on ourselves with the event.
So obviously the Guinness World Record relates to having achieved the title for the most brands advertising on a single sportswear item. And you've actually, the Toyota Tour de Oroc has actually made the Guinness Book of Records a number of times, then been knocked off and then come back. That is correct, isn't it?
We've had a bit of an Ashes battle going. There's actually a charity organisation in the UK that's been our nemesis. When we first got the record back in 2013, I actually got a message from a gentleman in the UK who said that they were doing a fundraiser. They were actually doing a marathon fundraiser, and they loved the idea of this record, so they were going to take it off us. And, of course, I declared that immediately as an Ashes battle. And so they did take it off us. Somewhere in there, in the meantime as well, it's been held by a group in the West Indies, and then we've managed to take it back. It's gone back and forth a little bit between the UK firm and ourselves, and we've actually had it. The record that we broke for this last one here, so I've just given away that we did actually manage to get another Guinness World Record. We actually beat our own record. So we'd gotten it up to 114 brands advertising on our jersey, and in the meantime, probably just from a COVID delay and just obviously people don't always keep running these charity events every year, then the UK firm or the organisation didn't manage to take it off us from there. So we went out and tried to break our own record again, which we managed to do. We've now increased the record to 116. So over to the Poms now to try and take it back off us.
You'll have to make it long sleeve if you're going to fit any more on there, aren't you?
Well, it is long sleeve, and that is one of the reasons we have long sleeve, because you actually need to fit all these brands on the actual jersey. The rules, it's actually interesting, even though it sounds like a trivial Guinness World Record, and it is, it's not like a 100-metre sprint at the Olympics type world record. But even though it's trivial, they still have the same extremely strict criteria that you go through. And so, for example, when you read the rules about this, one of the rules is that someone with normal eyesight has to be able to read each of those logos. So you might think you just start creating little tiny logos and put them all over the jersey, but you can't do that. You've got to actually have them so that they're able to be read. So there's a range of rules they have. You've got to prove that each sponsor has contributed financially to that, so you can't just go and get a bunch of logos and stick them on a jersey. So I really like the process they go through. Guinness World Records, they treat every record as an extremely serious record, and they have that same process, that same criteria that they apply to it.
Congratulations on breaking your own record there to achieve that higher record. How much did the Tour de Oroc raise last year for Macquarie Homestay?
$177,500 was contributed to Macquarie Homestay. That is a record. And the thing that's really pleasing about that is as we came out of COVID-19, a few of the committee members were a little bit concerned in the early days that maybe it wasn't the right time to be trying to raise money. Some people had done it very tough during COVID-19. So was that the right time to go out and try and raise money for this essential service that we have here in Dubbo? In the end, it was decided even if we didn't raise that much money, it was still a good event to continue on with it. So let's try and keep doing it. But as it turned out, it was a great time to go out and do fundraising. People were very supportive of the event, and that's a record event. That takes, or record fundraising for the event. That takes the total now from the Toyota Tour de Oroc in terms of contributions to over $660,000 we've contributed to Macquarie Homestay. Now, Macquarie Homestay's got some great contributors. The CWA a few years ago sold a building and contributed $420,000 to Macquarie Homestay. So there are some people that have been great contributors to Homestay, but Tour de Oroc has contributed more than any other organisation, apart from the government, who obviously had some government grants that have contributed to the buildings there.
It's certainly a great facility there, the Dubbo Homestay. Of course, more people now using the new Dubbo Cancer Centre as well as other medical appointments. It certainly fills a need in the community. Just before you go, very quickly, if anyone doesn't know, what is the Toyota Tour de Oroc?
It was an event started back in 2013 as a way of starting the fundraising for Macquarie Homestay. And the idea was that many people around the region were coming to Dubbo for medical services, and in particular, ladies having babies were having to travel to Dubbo to have a baby, but it was expensive for them to stay, especially when it was an unknown length of time, either before or after having that particular baby. So the idea was to build somewhere that was very cheap for them to stay, have the community run it, have the community fundraise for it, so that we could actually look after some of these people from the region. So we started the event in 2013 as a way of raising money, and it was meant to be a one-off to kickstart the fundraising, but it was so successful, people said we should run it every second year as a biennial event. And so we now have done that in 2013, 15, 17, 19, and it was meant to be 21, but it was slightly delayed from COVID to 2022. So it is an event that is designed specifically for fundraising for that. And it's a long distance bicycle ride, 6 days. It changes each time that we run it, but somewhere in the vicinity of anywhere from 1,180 kilometres back to maybe 1,100 kilometres, so almost 200 kilometres a day. In fact, it varies a bit depending on where the towns are. There are some days you'll do 240 kilometres in a day, other days you might only do 160 kilometres, but it's meant to be an epic event, and it is an epic event, and people that are riding this event really put their body on the line and also do some fantastic fundraising.
Matthew Dickerson, congratulations on a great effort there, not only on the event itself, but on the achieving the Guinness World Record. And thanks very much for your time this morning on 2DU Breakfast.
My pleasure. And for those interested, the next event will start on the 18th of March next year. More information will be available online if people want to go and search for that.
Thank you very much, Matthew.
Thank you, Anne.